Welcome back. So when I sign up a user, what if I actually want to also create some kind of profile page for the user where I can just start adding extra information about the user that Firebase doesn't already give me access to do. So what if I wanted to add, for instance, his birth date or something like that. Birth date, let's just say that's a date field. What if I wanted to add a gender field for the guy or girl? Gender, let's just put in a Boolean value for now, and etc, etc. What if I want to add all of this? I could keep going here and just add more and more properties, but it's a better way to just add a user object or class inside our system. So that's what we're going to do this lesson. We're going to try and add a new file right here, and that's going to be a user TS file, because you should actually start adding classes when you have some specific type of users you want to start using. So let's just try and do this. I'll make an export here, I'll make it into a class like this, and then remember the class name needs to be uppercase like this. So now we have a user class. Now what should a user contain? Well, at least a UID. That's something that we need. We need a unique identifier to kind of figure out who this guy is. We also need an email, because we need the email to kind of, again, be able to log in. We need a password for some cases. For instance, when I create the user, I'm going to need a password. So we're just going to add that as well. But it's something that's not mandatory. I can also make, when I get a user back, I don't want the password back. So I'll just put in a question mark right here that it can be a password. There we go. What else do we want for the user? Well, we actually also, for our user, we want, like I just said, gender. And that will just be a Boolean value for now. And that's also optional if you want to pass that or not. And we also want a birth date. Birth date like this. And that's going to be a date field like this. So there we go. Now we have some kind of values here for our user available, and that pretty much means that now we can start working with the user instead of actually passing in like we do right now the hard-coded values. So let's try and jump back to the service and just remove these guys so that we only have a single user available. So we'll just make a user that we want to pass in like this, and then we'll add in the user like this. So now we are passing in an actual user. Now the cool thing about using these typesafe classes is also that now it actually knows, it helps me, it knows there's an email available. It also helps me because it knows that the user actually has a password available in this case, right? It's that easy. So let's just try for the fun of it to just do a small, just to show you guys how this works. If I add a constant right here and call it lollipop, something like that, and I want to kind of add that to something the user has, notice right here, it won't be there. The lollipop won't be available. So I cannot, this property will actually give me an error directly in the editor before we even start compiling my code. But if I was to put in any right here, like this, any, it would actually accept the lollipop, even though I know it shouldn't have a lollipop on my user. So again, that proves type safety to you, that this will actually, it won't be there, it will always be undefined, because I would never define a lollipop on my user. But as soon as I kind of put in the user here instead, I'll be warned as I code that I actually am missing on a property here. I'm doing something wrong. Sweet. We need to do one more thing because we're still using this sign up function. So let's go to the TypeScript file right here. So instead of actually signing up right here like this, now we can actually do something pretty cool. We can use the as keyword to kind of convert this JavaScript object into a user. So that's pretty awesome. So I'm going to import the user TS here, not the Firebase one, but our own user TS. Actually, the Firebase one has a lot of the properties I want, but I just want to show you guys how to use the user, so that's what we're going to use. Now this guy is converted from a value into a user. So now I can just pass in the model right here, and it'll actually accept it in the sign up function. Again, if I try to pass in something else, let me just try and pass in a fake object right here and just had, again, a snail or something, that's a string. It will actually tell me that you're not allowed to pass in some kind of weird snail user object. No, you have to pass in a real user object. So that's why I'm kind of forced into actually sending in such an object. So that's all we have to do. Now we actually added a user that we can work with later. We actually also extended our service so it can now get a user from the outside. And as a final thing here, let's just see if things are still running. Jumping into the sign up page, sign up like this. And let's just try and click something here. So we'll just add ABC1 and we'll add a password. It needs to match, so I need to remember what it is. Typed in here, and I'll just try and sign up, and everything's still running. So sweet, let me just log out again. Good. So everything's still running. We just start adding some type safety now, and we'll work more with that as we progress. See you next time.